All right, welcome to another episode of Comics, the podcast where me and my mom talk about our comic collection. We do one issue of Marvel and one issue of DC, and we're starting off today with Marvel. We have What If number 31 from February of 1983, I believe? 82. Somewhere about there, about 5 years before I was born. This one is what if Wolverine had killed the Hulk? And in modern day depictions, it probably would never happen because they make the Hulk so impervious to anything.
Yeah, there's no way.
But back in the 80s, they're like, yeah, he stood a chance. And I believe, I think that's the first appearance of Wolverine in Marvel, if I'm not mistaken, is actually in a Hulk comic. He joined the X-Men, and Giant Size X-Men number 1, I think is what it's called, where they're all on that island that is like a big creature, the sentient island, Krakoa, I think is what it's called. And so they have to send in the B team, like the Angel, Cyclops, like the main Iceman, I think, Beast, get captured. And so they send in, Colossus, Storm, Wolverine, some of the more contemporary ones, a lot of people's favorite ones, really, some of the most popular. But people don't know, or I guess most people know, but some people don't know that he actually appeared in Hulk, because I think he gets his butt whooped normally. So this is this is what if he prevailed, and there's a second story, what if the Fantastic Four had never been?
Ooh.
Then, yeah, but it's a little different than it sounds. So I really like this cover. What do you think of the old style Wolverine where he's got the little short mask? Do you like that? He's got whiskers, it looks like.
I still prefer the brown costume, but it's not, you concentrate. What do you concentrate with on Wolverine? Are those claws?
Yeah.
The boots are ridiculous.
It's funny because the boots are long, and it's almost like as the more they drew him and developed his characterization, they made the ears and elongated to the point of the boots.
Yeah, it's
I don't
silly.
like how tall his sleeves are.
I don't either.
I think later depictions of the yellow costume, sometimes the sleeve goes down lower on his bicep. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to pull a picture up, but it looks a little weird. And also, if you're gonna have armor, why just armor right there? You don't worry about your arms getting hurt.
Right.
I don't know. It's a little goofy.
Right.
They also do a great job of having a lot of killing in this without any blood. There's no blood in this comic.
I like Bruce's face.
Yeah, that's a pretty good angry face.
Hulk angry.
So also I think this in another What If episode I talked about this, but there's two different creative teams that work on each story. So the Fantastic Four one has a different artist, and they draw the Watcher way different. He's got a very babyish head in this depiction. I don't like when the Watcher looks kind of shiny, he shined up his little bald head for I don't know.
Special occasion.
It's weird. Anyway, so originally Wolverine was dispatched by the Canadian government because in the Hulk comic he was I think the Watcher says he wandered into Canada. he just wandered in and started fighting Wendigo, who's like a cannibal creature, he says. So I think that's true of the Wendigo, the mythical creature, right? Like the Native American folklore or something is the Wendigo, about a guy that ate human flesh and is cursed. So he's
I don't know that it's a guy, but it's a creature that. Yeah.
Oh, is it like a lady or something? But I think it's a human that became the Wendigo for being a cannibal. I think had to resort to cannibalism, and as a curse of breaking that taboo, he becomes the Wendigo, or he or she, or whatever. I think I could be getting that wrong. I'm just going off the top of my head.
It's kind of cool. I'm going to look into that. That's
normally cool. In continuity, Wolverine loses this battle because nobody can beat the Hulk physically. It seems like.
Doesn't it look like they're just singing, though? He's busting.
They were trying to harmonize until Wolverine lapped in there and started slashing people up. They wouldn't let him join the barbershop quartet with the Watcher.
But his claws, they can hit higher notes.
Wendigo's cool, but it's weird that he has this big tail.
That tail.
I feel like you could take that tail off and then be like, that's a normal character design.
Or it could be like a panther's tail.
Yeah, it's weird that it's like a...
alligator.
It's very thick.
Yeah, it's a thick tail.
It's weird. Because I usually associate, like, a mammal will have, like, I guess some like a raccoon has a thicker tail, I think. But, I don't know, it looks weird. It
No,
looks
it doesn't
too...
look fluffy. That
right,
looks
it's not
solid.
mostly hair. It looks like
Yeah.
it's mostly flesh with a little bit of hair on it, which is weird. Like a lizard tail or something. It's thick. So, in this continuity, Wolverine takes him down. And you're probably wondering, how the hell could Wolverine beat the Hulk? And I think there is a different what if issue. If I recall, there's a different what if issue of what if the Hulk killed Wolverine. Because in the original continuity, neither dies, of course. Neither popular character dies, but the Hulk, I think, beats him up. But there's also, I think, one, because I have a picture in my head of this battle, and Hulk's like ripping him in half.
Oh,
yeah.
whoa.
And maybe it's a more contemporary one or something, because it's pretty brutal. But in this one, after using his speed like that, they really play up like, well, Hulk is so dang strong and impervious, but Wolverine's got the edge in his his agility, his speed. This is like, of course, the Watcher's like, okay, but this is the part where things go differently than what's familiar. So Wolverine dispatches Wendigo really easily. We don't even really get to see that. Realizes he's outmatched, and he's like, he's pushed me to the flaming limit, is what he says.
His expression is great.
Yeah, he's very cat-like with those whiskers.
Yeah.
That's, if we hear Peepus in the podcast today, maybe we pushed her to the flaming limit too. But he's like, I figured your neck's your weak link. They make him very, they like do his dialect by doing Y-E-R instead of your neck, your weak link. And I was right. So he just keeps stabbing him in the neck brutally.
Whoa.
But this is a family-friendly comic, so it's just like this pink impact thing.
Yeah.
And it's clever how they hide it on the panel. That's better than just having like, if only we could see around his back.
His
his
pink
jugular
aura
is just like shooting blood out of it.
Oh.
And it's like his head doesn't even come off. I guess he just stabs him a lot in the neck until he dies. He killed the Hulk. I beat the Hulk. So, I don't know. Nowadays, I feel like they not only play up the Hulk's, like his ability to absorb damage, but when he does get hurt, it's a similar thing to Wolverine where he has like a healing factor to some capacity.
Right.
Like he gets so mad that it just heals or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But we get to see all the superheroes around New York reacting to that. I know, that's a great reaction. Jay's like, holy shit.
Iron Man's like, what?
I like how Spider-Man's watching it through somebody else's window. That's a good. And I guess
Daredevil?
He's just hearing it. He probably uses his super hearing to.
Wow.
He's like, I think
what's that?
somebody's
Canada?
TV 3 blocks away. He wandered into Canada, and he pushed Wolverine to his flaming limit. So meanwhile, at the Hulkbuster base, they don't need that anymore. The whole base is dedicated to beating the Hulk. Betty, who is it? Betty Brant or something? It's Thunderbolt, or Betty Ross. Thaddeus Ross's daughter, who's like the love interest in Hulk, is like, oh, I'm so sad. And even Thunderbolt Ross is like, I'm glad he's dead, but I feel bad. But normally, he's all gung-ho, like, we gotta kill this.
We gotta kill the Hawk. The Hulk.
I like this
Hawk.
The Hawk or the Hulk? Anything with an H. Go get a magnifying glass now. Stare at the most horrible monster of all time.
I like the werewolf.
I like Spider-Man's weird eyes. Like they didn't quite get the eyes right. Or maybe it's to avoid using that trademark. Well, it says TM. I don't know. Yeah, that werewolf looks like he's about to do the Thriller dance or something. Meanwhile, it's a weird leap for me of like, okay, Wolverine just killed the Hulk in this continuity. Let's see what the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants are doing. Naturally, they're connected, and Magneto's watching it on TV with a character that I never remembered. I remember Blob. I remember Mastermind, who's this guy with a huge cowl or whatever. I kind of remember Unis. Unis, the Untouchable.
I don't
He's
remember
got like a
him.
force field mutant power where I guess that's what this is. You can shoot missiles at him all day. They're like in their own version of the Danger Room, I think. So Magneto's watching TV with the character I didn't remember, Lorelei. I think is her name.
What is her?
And she's like a siren. Yeah, silence them, Lorelei. If she sings or uses her vocal power, I don't know if she's... Yeah, I guess she's using her song and paralyzes men, but it only affects men. It doesn't affect women. In like the Odyssey or whatever, the sirens.
Yeah, okay.
So, but it's weird because I don't remember there being like I know Banshee from X-Men, the Scottish guy. I think he's Scottish that like has sound emitting powers, and I remember Dazzler can channel sound into like the bursts of energy or whatever. That's why she liked disco so much. But I do not remember Lorelei. It seems more like an Inhumans character, and I think the Inhumans are they mutants or are they different? They're just because I think the Terrigen Mist is the thing that made them have powers and mutations.
But they're female with the hair. Her hair, Medusa.
But she's got a similar hairstyle.
Yeah, kind of.
It's not powdered hair.
Right.
It's just big. She was like, maybe if I grow it out, it'll start strangling people.
It's
it didn't
the
80s.
Work. A lot of people were strangled by their hair in the 80s. It was...
The thing that's funny to me is they're like, it looks like they're training, like Danger Room style, but they got their own bad guy version of it. It's like, what is Eunice... Is he really practicing? Like, if his power is to have an impermeable force field and he just stands there enduring it, it's like,
why would he
so you're not getting better at it. We're just shooting, we're wasting valuable missiles on your force field.
He just maintains. That's.
Yep, still good at it. And this is the other thing that bothers me. So it doesn't bother me, but it's kind of goofy. Mastermind, the guy in the brown, ridiculous, brown cow.
Boom, chicka, brown cow.
His power is to manifest illusions, but they're not corporeal. They go right through you.
Oh.
And so if you knew there was a guy like that around, wouldn't you just kind of learn to expect, like, wait, we just saw Hulk die on TV, and the Blob is so dumb. He's like, how'd the charging Hulk get in here? Oh, he ran right through me. Oh yeah, it's that guy I hang out with every day who constantly makes illusions of things that aren't real. Like, I think that joke would get kind of old. After all, or it would drive you crazy. You just never know what's real or fake because that guy's being a jerk all the time.
Right. Well, yeah, and he's in the Brotherhood of Evil, so, I mean, of course he's not going to...
They're evil to each other.
Yeah, they're not going to be friendly to each other.
But, it's goofy. It's just an excuse, I think, to inform us of all their powers.
Yeah.
Because she uses her song, and it's like they're all infighting. To be like, this is what we can do. So anyway, we go back after Magneto's like, hey, I got a plan, seeing that the Hulk got killed by Wolverine. And Wolverine is like at a military base bar bragging.
And
all the men get so
Wolverine
sick of him.
I can't stand.
Yeah, the showboat Wolverine. Mm-hmm. He looks like Waylon Jennings or something. He's got his fringe jacket.
Yes.
But it's kind of goofy. But he's Canadian, so he's not even like a country. Yeah, I guess that archetype of person is up in Canada too. Anyway, the guys at the bar are like, this guy's mouthing off too much. He gets in a bar fight, and
of course.
The one thing that's absent in this is they don't really talk about it or let Wolverine use his healing power. It's like, did he not have the healing factor? At first, they don't really touch on that. So he gets decked, and he wouldn't need the healing power for that, really. But he gets in this big barroom brawl, and there's some cool actions. So he's like simultaneously punching two guys, and like, I don't know.
Even with one swing, he's got three guys.
He just thinks it's good-natured roughhousing. But a guy pulls a gun on him, and this is the thing. Like, normally, if he shot Wolverine... Like I remember in the one, I think it's X-Men 2, maybe it's an X-Men 1, they shoot him in the head, but since his skull is coated in adamantium, so it just heals over the bullet. That's a really cool scene with Hugh Jackman. Or even in the cartoons and in the comics, he had a healing factor that guns aren't going to... But so, as a precaution, he's like, whoa, you pull a gun on me, I'm going to freaking kill you. And he just murders this man. And it's like I do like this panel. That's one of the best panels.
He couldn't shred the gun?
That eyebrow. He's flexing his brow on him. But yeah, you couldn't chop... some versions of Wolverine, he just chopped the gun and scared the guy enough. But no, he just skewered Mackenzie.
Wow.
So he goes back to his military commander guy here, James McDonald Hudson. And he's like, you got to get me out of this. And he's like, well, we got to go through the courts. We'll pay for a really good lawyer. But yeah, he's in such a hurry. It's like, I don't remember Wolverine having like superhuman strength. Like he's tough. So it's just funny to see. There's a lot of wiggle room in how they
that door
manage
is
a character's...
at least 8 inches thick.
And he ripped it right off the hinges and bent
and metal, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you could have just opened it. It would be just as faster as breaking the entire door, probably.
Wow.
So he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna go to court for this. So he runs away, and I guess this was all part of Magneto's plan because conveniently, Magneto, who has a spaceship, if you didn't know, he has a spaceship with a tractor beam, sucks him up, and he's like, join our brotherhood, humans hate you. So he's like, I've got no choice, I guess. And now to business. So the big plan is to have Wolverine infiltrate the X-Men. So he just shows up while they're all demonstrating their powers. That's a really weird posture. Like, that would hurt your back to bend back that much. He must do yoga or something. But they're all demonstrating their powers in their own danger room. If they're not fighting the bad guys and the bad guys are fighting them, they're practicing fighting each other in their own homes. They're really a lot of thick arched eyebrows in this art.
Top head.
So, Cerebro's locked on to the mutant. He's approaching the mansion. I'd best alert my students. And Wolverine's like, hey, it's me. Mutants have a distinctive scent. It was a piece of cake to track you down. So he's like, I want to join your club because I smelled you. I smelled that some other mutants were here. So can I come over and hang out and be part of your team? Isn't that a weird thing?
Mm-hmm.
I know they like to play up like he's an animalistic guy. So it's like, he's got so many dang powers. He's got his adamantium skeleton and claws, which aren't a power, but they were like added on because he had the healing power to endure that. He's got healing, so he can also, not only does he heal, sometimes like instantaneously, sometimes it takes a long time depending on the depiction, but he also ages really slowly as a result of his healing. So he's been in like World War II and like even like late 19th century sometimes.
That's why De Niro could still play him.
Maybe.
Because he's like 150. And
yeah. It's weird for me to think about it, because De Niro's just so Italian-American that it's like, it's hard to imagine, like, capiche? I'm walking here, I'm Wolverine! He's Canadian, he's got
I'm stabbing here.
Maybe they could get Julian from Trailer Park Boys. Always have a tumbler. That wouldn't be too off the mark for... I think he's got sideburns, dark hair.
More superpower. No matter who he fights, he never spills.
If you had a healing power, you'd probably just drink bourbon all the time or whiskey.
Exactly.
Your liver could take it. You probably wouldn't even get drunk because your healing power just consumes the alcohol. Anyway, but he also can smell people. He can like track. He's a super expert tracker. So he's got his super smell and healing. That's weird. That's a weird combination. But he smells the X-Men, and he's like, I like how you guys smell. Let me join your team. And you can finish high school from the privacy of your own home. It's weird to think about that. As a kid, I never really thought about how people did that. I don't know how common it was, but I remember seeing commercials like you could take college online like in the early days of the internet, and thinking that really blew my mind at the time. Like, oh, you can get a degree on the computer.
Well, before that, people were doing mail order. What was that called? Like
Morse code diploma. It would take a long time. But
people were doing that, taking classes.
Correspondence courses?
Correspondence course. Yeah, I had a friend in high school that did
I think
marine biology.
Don Grant, the music department head when I was in college, said he did that. He was in the Navy, I think, and he told me he took music theory correspondence courses.
That would be hard.
Yeah. But I'm not that self-directed, I don't think, to be able to do that kind of course. Anyway, they kind of compress time and show, okay, now that Wolverine's part of the gang, he's on an adventure with them, and he's helping them beat some Sentinels. They're all getting along really good. He, late one night, though, he's planning his betrayal, so he stabs the Cerebro, I guess? Yeah, It's like, who could have put 3 perfectly spaced punctures into this Cerebro machine? Was it you, Cyclops?
Did he spill his beer?
That's his cover story, because Jean's like, oh, what are you doing up? And, I guess normally she would just be able to read his mind. But I neglected to say that in the previous page, Wolverine's like, good thing I have this telepathic blocking hat or something, implant from Magneto gave me. I guess he just put it in his hair or something. Maybe it's like a hairspray that makes it so you can't, your mind can't be read. So he's like, oh, I couldn't sleep, so I needed a beer in full costume. Yeah, he's like,
wow.
Couldn't sleep, so I went downstairs to grab me a brew. Never mind that I have whiskers on right now. I sleep in this costume. These are actually my pajamas.
They're flannel.
You thought it was a costume? I just like wearing comfortable pajamas while I'm battling Sentinels.
Wow.
But now he's having kind of second thoughts because he has feelings for Jean. He's like, I can't believe I'm actually gonna, these guys are pretty nice. I can't believe I'm gonna betray them. Another thing, I don't know if you're aware, but Magneto can astrally project, transmitting his image across the Earth's magnetic field. That's one of his powers. Yeah, they really stretch the magnetism sometimes.
Wow.
But he's trying to say, don't forget, we're going to screw him over, you're still going to be a double agent. And Wolverine's like, hey, Jean Grey goes free or the deal's off. Because Magneto initially was saying, I want the X-Men to join the Brotherhood and go against the humans, but it's kind of becoming clear of like, maybe we'll just kill them if they don't want to join.
Well, yeah, they're not going to join.
He's realizing Magneto's pretty zealous about the whole thing. He's not going to take no for an answer. So we see the unsuspecting X-Men are still practicing. They never really get to just hang out in this comic. Also funny, I noticed, like, no wonder he likes Jean Grey with her mask. He's like, I like your style. Big pointy mask. I think we...
And boots?
Yeah. The pointier, the better, I say. Oh, and that's another great thing. I forgot to say that Jean was saying that Wolverine's mask looked too, like, ferocious. And he pops in. He's like, I just wanted to show you that I took your advice and redesigned my mask. Maybe later we could, something's going on. So he elongated his ears. You notice that the mask here, it doesn't have the whiskers either. And the horns are longer.
It's dark all the way down.
Isn't that funny?
Wow.
And it's funny, too. He's like, I never thanked you for saving me. She's like, saving your life? Forget it. It comes with the uniform. And she's like, you would think she'd be like, speaking of uniforms...
Yeah.
She's like, why don't you do something about that mask of yours? It makes you look so fierce, so brutal. And you're among friends here.
It's silly.
The thing that she wants to talk about is not why in the middle of the night he's grabbing a brew and Cerebro's smoking in the background.
Yeah.
She's like, by the way, your mask is a little scary. I don't know why you're wearing it around the house. And he's like, is it less scary without the whiskers and longer horns? But we never get to find out. Like, it's pretty similar.
Wow.
I like how he takes the feedback of it's too fierce and brutal. He's like, it must be the whiskers. And send it over the edge. Those whiskers are too brutal.
Oh, my
So
God.
who would it be but Magneto coming to activate his double agent here?
That Blob guy is so...
Blob is
ridiculous.
lame. I'd like to see Blob and Hulk fight. I'm sure they have, and I'm not aware of it. Because Blob's power is like if he's got his feet on the ground, he's immovable. He can increase his mass exponentially until like he's one with the very earth or something. Like you can't move him at all. And that comes up here. But that would be an interesting pairing. It's kind of like Juggernaut versus Hulk in that way, where Juggernaut, I think once he starts moving, he can't be stopped. Anyway, his big plan is like, sing, Lorelei, sing, and he paralyzes all the male X-Men. It's like, you didn't really need to spend all this time getting Wolverine in as a double agent. That's a really powerful ability. You could just do that. You could show up like when everybody's sleeping and have her start singing, and then they would be paralyzed in bed and
in
you
their
could just
sleep,
kill them all. But anyway, he needed to get Wolverine there because he knew somehow that Marvel Girl, who I think in addition to being telepathic, isn't she telekinetic? She can levitate and move things.
I think so.
Even though she is able to do that, she needs to go run to the alarm. And if you turn on the emergency alarm, it'll drown out the singing and everybody will not be paralyzed. You think she could just flick the switch? She could imagine where it is in the room and just go boop with her mind and turn the switch. But no, she's got to run. And this is a great sequence. I know it's compressed time and these thoughts are happening at like a millisecond, but Magneto's like, oh, she's going to go foil our plan, as Eunice points out, but doesn't help in any way. He's like, ah, look at her. He picks up this armor-plated floor panel, and in the time it takes, she's not that far away, it looks like. No, he sent it hurtling right after. Or right at her. Don't fight him, Jeannie. Magneto promised not to hurt you. You're the traitor. How could you turn against us? I've been asking myself that same question. Wait, that deck panel's picking up speed. So I'm imagining it like very slowly at first approaching her. And then as he's thinking, it's getting a little faster. I better do something about that. That might bruise her. And Jeannie can't see it coming. You know, again, isn't she telekinetic? She could probably push back, you think. Magneto ain't planning on snaring her with it. He's gonna kill her. She hasn't got a chance. And this is, again, we all know that it's well documented that he has a healing factor, but he takes one frickin' panel to the chest. It would have killed her, but he absorbs it with his adamantium skeleton. It doesn't break the skin, because, again, this is a family-friendly comic, but it was kind of suggested it would kill her.
Right.
Like decapitate her or stab her or something with the metal edge. So Jean sees that he's not all bad. You know, he regrets being a bad guy. She gets to turn this little switch, which she could have probably done with her brain.
I'm not sure she had all the powers yet.
That's true, because this is a younger version. This is not 80s X-Men. This is depicting like 60s X-Men or 70s, I think, right? Like the original, because this is, I think maybe not by this time, but soon after this, Angel becomes Archangel, and I think, well, you can tell by Marvel Girls, because this is post Phoenix at least. So this old school costume, yeah, I guess that indicates that maybe she's just new to it. Anyway, so the backup plan is to have all of the Brotherhood actually do something and fight. They're like, now that throwing a big piece of sheet metal at Marvel Girl didn't subdue everyone, we gotta actually use our powers. Weird Eunice stance here. You see, like, he's got a wide stance with one leg. Where's that other leg? He's like either really leaning impossibly, or his leg is just perfectly aligned with Mastermind's arm. It's like, don't stand that wide, man. You're just asking to get kicked in the nuts. I know you got a force field, but that's just stand like a normal guy. So again, lame power Mastermind, like, oh, there's some giant scissors coming towards me, and look at this big demon. Oh wait, they're you can go right through them. They can't hurt you in any way. Like, how is that a good power? You can temporarily fool someone until they figure out that you can actually hurt them with the images, and then you just punch them in the face, and they're defeated. Kind of a lame power.
And why, like, giant scissors? Who's gonna believe that?
Well, he's got wings. What do you do to a guy with wings? Rock, paper, scissors, wings. You cut those wings right off.
True.
You should be cowering in abject terror. That was his play. You'd be so scared of this stuff, you wouldn't have to hurt them. Just threatening to cut them with the big scissors would subdue them.
Right.
So Wolverine takes on Blob, who's getting the upper hand, until Wolverine's like, oh, just as I suspected, both of your feet have to be on the ground for you to be immovable. He picks up one foot and he dodges, then he topples him over and bangs his head into the wall, and that takes him out. It's like, you guessed that, Wolverine? That's a really good and specific guess about his weakness.
Yeah.
Eunice, of course, in his less wide stance here, he's untouchable. And I do like this. I'm pretty sure Cyclops does this to Sebastian Shaw in the Hellfire Club, the guy who absorbs I think he can absorb kinetic energy, so it makes him hard to fight because it just makes him more powerful. But he blasts the floor, which is clever. But I think they stole that from that encounter. Magneto is standing really close to the circuitry and using his magnetism to manipulate it. And he's like, well, at least I've still got the siren call of Lorelei to subdue them. But nope, Marvel Girl had finally remembered that she has telekinetic powers.
Oh yeah, my brain.
Oh yeah, I have superpowers. That's a really shocked look.
Yeah.
But Magneto's super powerful. They're all converging on him, but he uses his magnetic blast to basically take everybody out except Wolverine, the most vulnerable to Magneto's powers, who jump kicks him in the back of the head. Magneto's one weakness is jump kicks to the back of the neck. Yeah, Wolverine, it should just be, what if Wolverine attacked everyone in the neck? That's his big epiphany that he has in this issue. Wait a minute, people's necks are really weak. So he's slashing at him again, no blood.
Whoa.
He would literally just be tearing him open with these
Yeah.
hits. And Cyclops says, you're killing him. Get off of him. We're X-Men, not murderers. But Magneto gets the last laugh. He's like, oh yeah, you're going to kill me? I'll make you stab yourself in the neck. Your one weakness.
Wow.
I do like this sequence. The arrow, I think, is unnecessary. Like, we would have got the time sequence without it.
Yeah.
Or, the ambiguity's not necessarily bad. Like, which happens? He falls to death, like his last dying movement, or he gets stabbed. It kind of happens simultaneously. You don't need that to explain it to me, that with the red arrow. But I do like that sequence of events. And, again, it's family friendly, so he actually retracted them at the last minute, and he's eating a gumdrop. Or no, he's stabbing himself in the neck. Damn. So Magneto's dead. Wolverine's dead. Even though modern day Wolverine, I think you could stab himself and he would just freaking regrow his own head if he cut it off. Like, he really regenerates ridiculously.
His powers are very,
But they just don't address the fact that he has a healing factor. And it kind of ruined this for me. Not ruined. It was fun to read, but it was like, it seems like a really glaring omission.
Right.
It was a fun comic, fun to laugh at, and it's not a bad story. I like that they give, they stick with the classic Wolverine thing where, like, in traditional Wolverine, he's a good guy, solidly good, but, like, sometimes he goes overboard, or, like, he has to do things his own way. He's a maverick.
Right.
In this one, he's bad, but he has a change of heart. So, they keep the complex kind of characterization of, like, is he a good guy, or is he kind of rough around the edges, or just a complicated
He's
guy?
definitely rough around the edges.
But, yeah, he would just heal from that, and it would be okay. Magneto would be dead. I like how the Brotherhood, they're just, oh, man, boss is dead. Should we just not fight anymore? Kind of bummed out now. He was really cool. He was nice to us. He's dead. So that's the end.
Wow. So if he had killed the Hulk, Magneto would be killed.
Yeah.
Pretty much what it
Magneto
means.
would be killed, and he would kill himself eventually, or Magneto would kill him. They would kill each other.
Wow.
And if you think those are wide-reaching consequences, for one thing, wait until you see what if there was no Fantastic Four. At first I was like, so none of them existed? Or they just didn't get their powers?
Right.
A little different than you might think. Also, Watcher is much more old. He looks more Mr. Clean, and he's muscular. He doesn't have that baby head. Look at that jawline.
Yeah.
It's like he went on a diet in between issues.
And
He's
they give
pleasantly
him
plump, fat head, fat forehead. Now
I
he's
like it when they depict like
angular.
the universe.
I do like that.
I like that.
That's a great way. If some of these panels have to demonstrate their powers because it might be somebody's first issue. You never know. They just picked it up off the newsstand. Do it in a subtle way like that. Like, oh, he sees or he can see everything. That's like an artistic way to suggest that. He does explain the premise of this of him watching, but you don't have to be like shooting needless missiles at a guy to show that he has force fields.
Right. Ooh.
Look how angular his head is, though. It's
That's
got like
bizarre.
sharp edges at points.
And it looks like he's got sideburns, like
bald with It's like I shaved the rest. I do like my sideburns, though. I kind of like it better. I like the deep eyes.
The deep eyes.
He's got such a brow that there's a deep shadow over his little beady eyes. This reminds me more of the classic, like Jack Kirby art.
Yeah.
So the premise is not if they never existed or they didn't get their powers. They do get their powers, but instead of uniting as the Fantastic Four, the thing flips the frick out. And he says,
this
screw all this.
right here.
I know, he looks like a big pumpkin or something. He's like a big baby going, wah!
That's nuts.
I love that, though. I'm glad that you pointed that out, because when I was reading it the first time, I was like, I gotta talk about that panel. That one, too. When his arm's back and bellowing, damn it! What are you doing?
He's wild.
One thing that was weird to me is the dialogue or the dialect that I'm used to reading for the thing. It kind of phases in and out with this writer. Sometimes he's really, like, articulate. Sometimes he's more like, okay, that's how the thing would talk. I'll try to point it out as we see some examples. But basically the premise is they're the Fantastic Three, or I guess they never really become anything. But the thing's like, screw this. You guys got awesome powers, and I was turned into a horrible monster. I'm leaving. That's probably a more realistic reaction, honestly.
Right.
So instead of, I think he says something like, instead of learning to hide his bitterness behind a mask of humor, he hides behind a mask of rage.
Oh,
and
no.
he decides to go on a rampage. So we see, oh, wait, isn't it supposed to be a 4 that's up in the air? And Reed had shot the flare to summon Sue and Johnny to him because they're a trio now. Turns out that the thing's been going all King Kong all over the country.
no.
From Seattle to Chicago, working his way east, shaking his fist at airplanes. Shaking his fist at clouds like Grandpa Simpson. And he's like, thankfully, no one's been killed. It's like, it's all property damage. Like, he didn't accidentally kill someone by breaking down all these buildings. That's pretty convenient.
Or having airplanes
they're
shoot
shooting
at
machine guns at the building. And he's just, I'm walking in. Maybe we should get Robert De Niro to play Thing and Wolverine. They could just make this comic into a movie. Robert De Niro in all the main roles. Kind of like Eddie Murphy in Nutty Professor.
Yeah,
but Marvel.
yeah.
That's what we're going to do.
De Niro plays Sue Storm like you've never seen
Hey,
her
I'm invisible here! So anyway, their plan is like, we got to stop this. We're responsible for him. So we gotta use our powers to make sure he doesn't go on a rampage. I like when he's in disguise and he's got his big glasses and his little like kerchief around his face. He runs into Alicia and they have to point out, they normally would be a couple, but he never joined the Fantastic Four, and she just walks into him. And even then she's like, his hands felt so strong, so powerful, but there was still something gentle about him, something tragic. Also need to point out, we all know that Alicia Masters' dad is the villainous puppet master.
Yes.
What a weird-ass character design.
That's
His
creepy.
thin little brows and his
the way they curl up.
the way his they pronounce, it's like he's wearing mascara or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Are they trying to make him look like a puppet? Like he looks like a
think so,
ventriloquist
yeah.
dummy or something.
It's
like your power is you can make clay puppets and control other people. You don't have to look like a puppet. Sorry, I spit a little bit, but you don't have to. That's committing a little too much. We just, show us your power. You don't have to be your power. No, I really like puppets.
When I was a kid, he was somebody who really creeped me out.
He is creepy. Well, it's a creepy power to take control of somebody's their whole body. Because in another issue, I remember in a '90s comic I have, he takes control, or no, he makes his own golem. It's like a spikier thing, and it's like spiky horned thing versus traditional thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, does he control people's bodies, or does he just make fake version of people, like clay versions and then he like captures the real version? Maybe I'm misremembering. I do like this big action panel. Boom! He's breaking out of his clothes. Not his underwear, thankfully. Everything else tears.
You hear? The thing! Wow. Yeah, his face. They can see, I still think they get a lot of emotion and expression. Even though he's
for not having hardly like a nose or eyebrows.
Or eyes
Oh, definitely. No
they
teeth.
do a great thing. A great
This is it's almost like a cartoony panel. This panel, it reminds me of like a Mickey Mouse or Richie Rich panel. It's got like a weird, he's like zooming around. He's like, whoa, we better get out of here. This guy's freaking out.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think it's just his legs there and the motion lines are really selling it. But if you thought it was bad that he didn't end up with his true love, Alicia Masters, that's just the first consequence.
Oh, no.
He goes on a rampage. He breaks a Daily Bugle truck. Peter almost pee-pees his pants trying to escape. He's like, gosh, I'm not going to go on the science field trip. And so he never becomes Spider-Man. He never gets bitten by that radioactive spider at General Tektronics Science Hall.
Wow.
And we get no Spider-Man then. He missed being Spider-Man as he's standing on two planets explaining the two universes, I guess, the two Earths. Not only that, Donald Blake misses his airplane where he was supposed to go discover his enchanted walking stick. He's supposed to go to Norway and become Thor.
Thor, yeah.
Or, this was back when Thor wasn't just Thor. He lived in Asgard. He had a human counterpart. I like that. It's weird. It's stylized, but that's a funky watcher.
Yeah.
Got to get a
He's
down
got sharp teeth.
upward angle on him. It's weird like that. But yeah, no Thor. No Spider-Man, no Thor. It doesn't end there. He's looking kind of lumpy. You get the lumpy version of the thing. He's like the oatmeal thing. Didn't put enough water in your oatmeal thing. He's like, or a pineapple in this one. He's like an
or grenade. Orange grenade.
Yes. Did I skip one? No. So he's breaking up the train, and these guys are like, oh, maybe he'll just stay down there. Like these guys. Let him fight the train. He's like, I don't know. I think the chief will probably make us go down after them. And
You think?
after him, and he's like, oh, out of my way. He comes back up. So he's on a rampage. He's not killing him, because this is a family-friendly comic, and no one actually dies, but he's wrecking everything.
Santa right there.
Right. After all the bad things he did, he wants to deliver presents.
Let him.
So, two other wide-reaching consequences. We have Tony Stark, who never went to the Orient, as they describe it here. I always forget that. I'm so used to the modern-day Robert Downey Jr. in Afghanistan. But so I think originally he was in Vietnam or something like that. So he never goes there, and he never has a reason to create the Iron Man suit. And Bruce Banner, I guess, skips his radioactive experiment because they need to come in and help subdue the thing. They invent this big laser. And they're like, with this radioactive cannon, cosmic ray cannon, that'll take him out. And this is Thunderbolt Ross from the last comic. The guy who hates Hulk so much, well, he has a different monster, different color. But he still hates big monsters rampaging, and that's his defining character trait.
Well, you can't blame him.
It's weird because... So, what were they... Do you remember, what was Bruce Banner experimenting on when he got irradiated? Were they just... Was it like a nuclear bomb? Or something? It was gamma bomb, right?
Gamma rays.
It was a bomb. Or was it... I know it was gamma rays, but I don't know what he... Because in this, he says, I know how you feel, Tony. I left behind an important new solar project to handle this. And in the little narrative box, it says, Dr. Bruce Banner will never experience the accident which would have transformed him into the Incredible Hulk. So, was it a solar experiment? I don't remember that. I could be just... I never knew. But...
Yeah, good question. Good question.
Was the experiment... What if we drop giant... radioactive bombs on solar panels? Let's see what would happen. And of course, my favorite thing to point out about Mr. Fantastic is any excuse to use his weird stretching power. What on earth? He just likes freaking people out. He likes being all elongated. He could have just walked up like a normal person to talk to them, but he's got to be like, whoa, my arm is 3 feet long.
Why would you do that to your neck?
I don't know. It probably feels cool. It's like doing the ultimate yoga. You get to stretch your skeleton in ways that you never... I don't know. Is this something people used to say? Gad-free! What is it, son? Gad-free. Or Gad-fry?
Gad-free,
It's like an exclamation, because he's surprised to see, the Hulk's throwing rocks at jets. I love how they acknowledge this, because Ben was a pilot. He's like, man, I really didn't like... had to wreck a couple of beautiful birds like those. He didn't want to have to wreck the jets. But he's wrecking the Baxter Building, which will never become...
here.
Yeah, he filed it all down in between panels. Or maybe these explosions smoothed them out a little bit. But yeah, this will never become the Baxter Building, the headquarters of the Fantastic Four. It's just some building that he's wrecking. Reed is being all stretchy for some reason. He's like, let us try to subdue him, then you can shoot him with the big ray, but you got to give us a chance to take him in without killing him. Like, he looks like he's stumbling like a big, goofy mummy or something, or toddler. And it turns out the thing can basically take out everybody in his team. According to this, he easily gets rid of all of them.
Can you imagine if he just swung him around until he got thinner and longer and thinner and longer until he was like a Twizzler? Oh man!
Yeah, he could start twisting him.
Yes.
It's like the worst Indian burn ever.
Ugh! Yikes!
Anyway, he becomes a kite after he gets thrown, which is a nice way to recover.
Yeah, look at him.
Look how oatmeal-y look. He's like orange mashed potatoes or something.
Ugh.
He like sometimes has the suggestion of a neck, and sometimes his shoulders like go up over
His ears,
his
yeah.
ears. Yeah, it's a little funky. But he takes them all out. Even the one he can't see. I guess the smoke.
The smoke got her.
But he just claps at her. Damn, that would hurt your ears. I love this reaction. he one eye. That looks like something from anime or something.
Yes,
you know,
it
like
does.
it's very
Wow.
very stylized. The
I
spikes.
like it.
Yeah, that looks very modern to me. Very contemporary
Yeah.
for this. I mean, I know it's 80. What would we say? 82. It's not that old,
like
but.
it.
Anyway, so much of the art looks retro, especially some characters like when you see their face, that haircut. But it's funny to see that panel that looks so modern.
You stupid brute.
He tries it again, but it looks like she broke her dang back the way she's twisted like that. But he takes Mr. Fantastic out, so that we got to take the shot. And Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, to their credit, are reluctant to follow the order, but he raises his hands in the air. Oh, he's serious. He's doing the muscle man pose. So they shoot him. You know comic book logic. If these give you your powers, they'll take them away. Nope. It just makes them even madder and more powerful.
Oh, look at his lips. And
So
it gives him icky lips.
No. Now I got chapped lips. You son of a gun.
Oh, no.
Oh, I don't know if we've seen this Daredevil's
Daredevil hosted.
longest fight. It doesn't look that long.
Yeah.
Babyface Johnny is the biggest bruiser ever to hit Manhattan. He's destined for the world's championship fight. For 3 hours straight, he and Daredevil have been slugging it out. Thwack! This guy's nearly as strong as the Hulk. But why is he picking on me? I'm exhausted. Fighting him is like fighting a cyclone. I gotta stop him. These Hostess fruit pies might help. He must have worked up an appetite by now, and he lassos them on his little billy club. It's like, you're breaking him. He's all sweaty. I like that detail.
Ew.
Wow, real fruit-filling apple and cherry and a light tender.
What's the
He looks like
movement
he
he's
could be
doing?
like a little German little boy with like lederhosen on.
And ew.
He's weird looking. Hey, Daredevil, what were we fighting about anyway? He was just angry. I guess. I don't know. I just asked you, what do you think of Jack Murdoch's record? Murdoch? I thought you said I smelled of dirty socks. Gee, sorry, fella. But thanks for the... Oh, my God. What a misunderstanding. You'd fight someone for 3 hours because they said that you smelled like dirty...
And you're in a gym working out?
Yeah, you probably do smell like dirty socks. You need to get some hobbies if you can fist fight someone for 3 hours over such a minor offense. Only to be consoled by Hostess fruit pies and their light, flaky, delicious crust.
Back to the chapped lips.
Yeah, he's getting like popcorn skin.
Yeah.
He vaped too much.
His lips are intense.
I like when they just cut to like a solid color background instead of having the detail background.
His lips are big.
They're becoming more pronounced.
Ooh.
This also is a weird transition. Why not just have a straight... I guess it's cool because it emphasizes the rubble and all the destruction around
I like
him.
it.
But yeah, he... after that ray gun explodes, it knocks everybody out, and he's like, I'm just going to leave. Let him think I died. And he's kind of articulate here. He's, in fact, I'm strong enough to kill you all with one blow. But if I did that, I really would be a monster, wouldn't I? And I'm not. Whatever I might look like or feel like, I ain't really no monster. So there's a little bit of the dialect. I was right about one thing, though. Nobody can know the way I feel. If folks only had given me a chance, I might have learned to live with this ugly hide. They all gave you a chance. They wanted to be a superhero team. That's what caused this, is you were being a butthole. When everybody put their hand into the center, you're like, nope.
Yep.
But that was, so here we go, W-U-Z, that was too much to hope for. Everywhere I went, I scared anyone who caught sight of me. Little kids screamed, grown men fainted, dogs farted, and then the army stepped in. So, I don't know,
That's
all
a great
self-pitying.
face.
Yeah, it looks, sometimes he's especially lumpy.
Yes.
You know? Sometimes he's jagged, sometimes he's more lumpy. I guess I I really remember him being a little. He has like a soliloquy earlier on where he's a little bit out of character. Oh, here we go. But Ben, please. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Invisible Girl. Anyway, regardless, they all think he's dead. Some of them suspect, like, well, maybe he survived and ran away. Yeah, he's like, if he ever appears again, we're gonna nuke him or something.
Banner!
But it's like Banner's like, I'm over here. He's like, oh, sorry, thing. But yeah, they never become a super team, and the Watchers. Like, well, there's going to be Space Invaders and Doctor Doom. Are we going to have any superheroes? Because now there's no Iron Man, there's no Hulk, there's no Thor, so there goes most of the Avengers.
Superman.
There's no Fantastic Four.
Or Spider-Man,
I don't know why they can't just be a Fantastic 3 or a Terrific 3 or something. Something that's a little snappier.
Well, they can't even beat the Thing, though.
That's true.
So,
which is funny because it seems like a lot of times in the Fantastic Four comics, he's the first one to get beat up. Or take a lot of damage. He's the tank that gets beat up at first, and they all adapt to help him out.
Right.
And anyway, great comic. Couple of weird plot holes, but
there's some good art in there, though.
Some fun premises anyway. Great art.
Okay, so my book this week is DC Special Hawkman. It's from 1986. It's number 1.
The year before I was born.
The year before you were born. By Isabella Howell and Randall. And it's all new cover. Excitement in the land of the dead and beyond.
I think the yellow border goes nice with the yellow on his costume.
With the yellow, yeah. It's got Hawk Girl back there. Kind of, I don't know, peeking through.
Flying out of this guy's body. He's becoming Hawkman, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
well, we'll see.
We'll see. Yes, we will see.
He's big.
So we open with Hawkman killing people. And if you know anything about heroes, they don't want to kill.
They just want to beat them up.
Usually. And it turns out that these people are invaders. And they are from the planet Thanagar, which is where he is from.
And he's killing his fellow.
They are trying to invade his adopted home. So they're coming to invade. But in his rage, he literally kills people, and it says that, which I really liked, is right down here, his enemies tremble as they face the Hawkman's awesome judgment and cannot see that their own terror is mirrored in their executioner's eyes. So he's like in terror that he's actually killing people.
Yikes.
But so that was intense. That's a crazy view of him being so huge and just tearing that ship apart.
Yeah.
But then we see it much closer as he kills them in one way or another. Like the first guy, the vapors, totally annihilate him right away. And some of them, crushing somebody in your hands, that's just
How'd he get so big?
horrific.
I thought he was normally like human-sized.
He is. And then, he's falling and he's falling and falling, and then he stops and he stands up. And these guys are there. And then he hears a voice, and it is the Gentleman Ghost. Yes. And he explains that these are poltergeists, and they're created of gases, and they're ectofog, and they're created by violent emotions. And this whole sequence that we just went through, he's very violent right now, and he grabs a ghost. And he's like, I'm not in the mood for any of your chicanery, ghost. And then you hear there he is. And he looks off into what's coming. And he's surrounded by the very men that he just killed. And he just starts going in on him again and just starts beating on him. Yeah.
The white vapor coming off of him.
Yeah. And it made me think that he was fighting these ghosts, and maybe he fell to his death, and now
I like the gentleman ghost's frilly little
Yes.
cravat or whatever you call that. I don't know
Yeah,
what
his
that
monocle
is.
floating in the air.
It's very fancy.
But yeah, so based on the title, I thought, well, gee, did he fall to his death and then now he's in hell or something, or you know, waiting? What is that? When you don't go to heaven or hell, purgatory. His name Purgatory or something. And he's fighting, but yeah, that brings up Ghost Rider.
I like how their face, you can't even see their faces. Or face
Yeah.
guy doesn't really even have a head.
Yeah.
There's a second race car ad, or it's the
It's the
same
same
thing.
one,
As,
just
they
in
really
color.
want us to get this remote control car.
It's striking.
Wow.
Lightning.
Yeah, maybe we should go there.
Oh, I like this too.
I remember The Outsiders.
Do you? I don't at all.
I wasn't a huge fan, but there's some in our collection. We'll have to pull one out
Okay,
for one of
yeah.
these upcoming episodes. But I was never crazy about most of their character designs. Just like visually, they're okay. They definitely look distinct, but I don't know the colors on the purple and orange and blue and white. It's a weird. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't remember it at all.
I think they were sort of misfits that Batman had. I think the point, and this is what this suggests, he's walking away from them. He's supposed to be their teacher because they're not very good superheroes, or they're like somewhat amateurish. I think so. He's like their teacher, mentor, but he gets frustrated with them.
Walks away.
Something like that.
Okay.
I think that's a recurring theme, if I remember correctly, of that comic.
So then you have it where
Oh, it was all a dream.
it was all a
No.
dream, and he sits up.
I like how the border of this panel's all hazy.
Yeah, yeah. And Hawk Girl is like, Carter, what is it? What's wrong? And he's like, oh, I just can't sleep. And a wound. She finds that a wound that shouldn't even be a scar, but it should be healed by now. Is bleeding, and she's telling him, you've got to tell me what's going on. And this wound is from the Shadow Hawk of Hawkman, number 4. So anyway, she tries talking him into letting her know what's going on, and he tells her about the dream and how he's having to fight these guys. And this guy here,
Yikes.
Anadar, look at Fel Anadar, blasted into the walls. And that's the corpse.
Yikes.
Yeah,
It
that's
became stone.
creepy as heck. And so she's telling him, well, there's a thing that my mom used to do, and I could help you and lead you through it. And he's like, hey, I was a scientist before this, and I don't really get into that, hoo-ha or whatever. And then they get a call from the...
He says, wear your wings so he can take them off and put them back on?
Yes,
know
actually,
that.
maybe we should talk about that.
I'm not a big Hawkman aficionado.
Yeah, the wings are made out of the nth metal, and it allows flight. It has something to do with negating gravity, and so he made them into his wings and harness, and that's how he does it. But Hawkman's got one of the most confusing backstories in DC Comics. I think in any comics. Because he first appeared in 1940s Flash Comics #1, The Flash, where his backstory was that he was Carter, he was a reincarnated Egyptian prince Khufu, and
I thought he was an alien for some reason.
right, and then he was Kator Hall, and his partner Shayra, who was Hawk Girl, and
So you're saying there have been a couple of people that have gone by Hawkman?
just a couple of reincarnations,
Oh, okay.
or a couple of ways that they portray him. Where is this human reincarnated god, or he's from this planet? And this one is
See,
where
all I gotta remember is, does Wolverine have whiskers right now, or is it post whiskers?
Exactly. But here he is, Katar Hall. He's from the same planet as our invaders, and he was the son of a prominent official sent to Earth. they were sent to Earth.
Okay.
So they.
But now he identifies more as an Earthling now.
That's his adopted home.
Okay.
And in
So
some
kinda like
comics,
Superman a little bit.
kind of. And in some comics, they kind of combine both incarnations. So
That's weird.
You kind of, because if you, okay, you're going to find out more about how they kind of do that in this. But they get call from the museum security, and like, you got to get down here, wear the wings. You're going to need them. So he and Hawk Girl get ready, and they fly down, and she's.
I like that pink sky.
Yeah, and she's thinking in her head, like, how is he even flying in a straight line with all the emotions and stuff that he's going through, trying to figure out what's going on. And they get there, and someone that they had worked with before had been killed in a previous, where is it that it says?
The Shadow War of
Yes.
Hawkman miniseries.
And so killed Miss Trent. She was killed. So they're down there because something is going on, and that something turns out to be this aura. And he says the stuff gives a little push, gives a little when you push it, kind of like sticking your hand into a wall of hard jello.
You've done that before?
Haven't you? It was my favorite thing to do as a kid.
My house is made of jello. Don't judge.
And so he tries, but he can't go. And so Hawkman and Hawk Girl have to go in. And so they do. They fly in.
I like her eyes there.
Yeah.
There's so much white and they're like vertical lines almost. It's weird. It's a weird
Like
look.
hawks. And so they fly in. And when they get there, they see, is it Gentleman
The
Jim
old
Craddock himself? And it's
pretentious
her
ghost.
that's telling him, Gentleman Jim Craddock himself.
That's the name of the gentleman ghost?
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
And you're looking a little pale, old boy. And then he's there, and he's there with Miss Trent, who was killed. And so she was waiting around to help these people who are like unsettled spirits,
Okay.
that they can't pass on.
So does the gentleman ghost like help living people communicate with dead people? Is that like his whole purpose?
He's just out for himself.
So he's not necessarily a villain or a hero. He's just
Right now, you're thinking that he's a villain because he's,
okay.
but then it's like, why is he with her? And of course, Hawkman just goes right into fighting them and stuff. And he's like, hell's bells. I expected the Hawk to resort to violence when faced with the unknown, but I always thought his wife at least had what did it say? His wife at least had
A dollop of
wits about her.
It's like a dollop of sour cream or wits. They both come in dollop size.
And then she's like, give him a little time, James. I'm sure they'll do the right thing. And he gives her a little peck on the cheek. He says, well, you've done your job and you can go on. So she turns and she goes on. At this part, she goes, I think I'll choose the reincarnation option. It sounds like great fun. Maybe this time I'll come back as a man.
That's interesting.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So Hawk Girl is trying to figure out what's going on. Do we have to fight? Do we have to? And the poltergeists are there because his emotions are still high and violent. And he goes to go after the ghost again. And he's like, really, Hawkman? You can't grab a ghost. And
Everybody knows that. If you watch TV, you know that. I love these lines. The
Yeah.
lines behind them. It really sells that they're like whirling around in a big vortex or something.
And they follow through with it the entire time.
Oh, I love this sequence of him disappearing. That's really well drawn.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Yes. So, anyway, he tries to grab the ghost. She's like, guitar, stop. And he takes off. He's just like trying to get through to him. And I did warn you about them, Hawkman. Perhaps this is for the best. And then you've got this smoky cloud, and he disappears, and they're out. And all of a sudden, they come to, and they're back out in the lobby.
A gentleman ghost is pretty powerful, I guess.
You would assume. And he goes, "What happened in there, Hawkman? You two flew through that energy barrier, and 60 seconds later, it disappeared without a sound." And he's like, 60 seconds?
Oh, wow. So they perceive time differently while they're in that little gentleman ghost vortex.
Right. And so they're talking about gentleman ghost.
Oh, he was hanged. That's pretty brutal. We didn't get any blood in the last
Well,
comic,
at
but
one
we get a
point,
hanging.
he was like the most nefarious highwayman in England.
So he was a bad guy at one point.
Yes. And, 100 years ago or so. And he goes, they're like, "Stop him. You could try, but no one ever has." But
No,
the
he vows
hangman's
to come
noose,
back, I
yes. And so he was defiant to the end, and he's like, "I'll come back.
That's
I'll
all
come
you
back."
got to do to be a ghost. Is right before you die, say, "I'm coming back."
There he is without a head, but his
It's like calling shotgun in the car. If you don't get there in time, you're not allowed to come back.
Oh, and then, but as our self-styled gentleman is inordinately fond of repeating, "You can't catch a ghost."
It's weird that he both says it to everyone and thinks it.
Yeah.
It's like I think that sells the motion. It's like he says it, and then as he's falling, he says it to everyone, and the noose catches him, and in his dying thought, he's thinking it because that's all he can fixate on in his last
And he comes back.
moments.
And then, but he doesn't buy that Craddock is there to help. And
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he would be if he was a
and he
criminal.
said, "I've never put an APB out on a felon without a face." "But you want it, you got it." And come on, Whitney. And he introduces Whitney as like, "This is Whitney, and she's gonna be working with me sometimes." And that's all he ever says.
That's
about
all the
Whitney.
explanation I need. Anyway,
That's it.
police are looking for a faceless person. It's very fancy.
He's got a monocle. And so she's pleading with them, "Let me help you, let me help you." And explaining, that's my mom taught me how that I can help you. And you need to communicate with them. You need to not fight with them.
They're both Thanagarians? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And let me see here. Okay, and there's a discipline my mother was adept at. She called it Vol, in one of those ancient tribal languages. It meant walking with the dead. I saw her do it once when my father died. He died while on relief mission across the planet, and he never got a chance to tell her how much he loved her one last time, so the Vol gave him that chance. And
He's
he
like,
again...
"You remember her. She just like watching The Walking Dead." He's just confused.
I'm Walking Dead. And he goes, "Again, I was a scientist before I became a policeman. You know that."
Oh, the old scientist policeman
Policeman.
pipeline, huh? This happens to so many. First you're a scientist, then you become a cop, and then you're flying around with hawk wings.
And she was saying, "I don't, much less talking, all right, something as mystical as the Vol. I don't pretend to understand Vol completely myself. Maybe it's because we live so long. Our people don't die easily."
So he's pretty skeptical about any mystical
Yeah,
stuff. Even though he just encountered a ghost. He's like, "Oh,
you're right,
no,
exactly.
science. That's the thing."
And she says, "Don't you see, Qatar? You're the one closest to the lost souls because you killed them. So you need to be the one to do this."
He just doesn't want to accept that.
So he does. He gives in, and he's like, "Fine, I will." And then we go into part 2, where she's teaching him how to kind of meditate and go, deeper
Well, I have
and
a
deeper.
part 2. I don't mean to interrupt, but why don't
They
you
could just
continue
go
the
back.
story? Is it just to give okay, if you're tired of reading, go eat a Hostess fruitcake, and then you can start here, and you won't have to remember too much from the first part.
Exactly, because we'll go over it. We'll go over
Hostess
it.
fruit pies may induce memory loss. Might cause diarrhea, some of which may be fatal.
Greasy discharge.
From the eyes.
And she's been watching him for hours at this point, meditating and trying to make a connection. And then somebody comes to the door, and she's like, "Oh, Shira, I desperately need your husband to approve these exhibit sketches," because they work at a museum.
I thought he was a cop.
I know.
And a scientist. Pick a career.
The builder needed them yesterday, and she just like shuts it. Deal with it. He's not going to be in. Carter's not going to be in. You can deal with it for a while. And this guy is like, not the most graceful exit I've ever seen, but it. What is it? Get used to the
Takes
patented.
time to get used to the patented Hall cold shoulder.
And that's Joe Tracy.
Press agent. Her name is Coral Shellac. What
Yes!
a name. Wow.
Artist, naturalist. And then, so they talk a little bit. And then she's thinking, and I do mean that Mr. Tracy, someone like you could prove useful both to me and to the Targaryen invasion force as well. So she's a plant.
Coral Shellac sounds like a color sample or something. I'm going to paint our kitchen coral shellac.
And so she goes back in and, oh, you're ready. And he's getting ready. He's taking off. And he's going to go and meet up.
He's just like Angel. Like they bend back
Right,
a little
yeah.
extremely. You gotta. That's how you take off, I guess.
And he controls stuff in his helmet.
Who you think would win in a fight, though? Hawkman or Angel?
Angel's a mutant. I mean, those wings are his. I think
Yeah. Is
growing up
Hawkman
with
super
them,
strong or anything? Just normal strong?
good point. I don't know, but
Guess
she
we'll
said the
find out.
Targaryens don't die easily.
Oh. Yeah, so I think they have.
they
I think
probably
he's
have
got some other... Because wasn't she saying that wound should be healed? I guess it doesn't suggest that he has a healing factor, but maybe they heal faster than humans.
Yeah. And then as he leaves, there's, "Strike me, dear Shira, if the great oaf didn't move me almost to tears with that touching farewell." She goes, "You! But we can't really allow him to go off to those horrid caverns alone, you know." And who do we have?
Oh, no. The gentleman ghost.
And she
Putting his
picks up
feet
this
up on her desk.
bust she's going to throw at him or something.
Hasn't she ever seen a movie? You
I
can't
know.
throw things at ghosts.
I know.
What is up with that? It's got like a bigger hat and a... Is that just... The heck?
And like, this is monocle. Like,
It's like
he's
a zoom.
coming. Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
That's kind of experimental little transition.
Yeah.
Because there's no gutter to the pant. Like, usually you would expect... I guess there's this dividing vertical line.
Right.
But,
the darkness coming.
It's cool. It gives it some motion.
And he's like, "Thunderation, don't you understand? While we stand and debate my honesty, time is running out. Not merely for your unsuspecting spouse, but for the rest of the world as well."
Uh-oh.
So, yeah. So then we go back.
You think Hawkman and Flash go to the same store to get their yellow
Yes.
accessories? It's like, do they have like an X chest piece? I want to still show my nipples to everyone, but I need to hold these wings on. He's like, yeah, that's where I get my little ear things.
Yeah. And then, yeah, he's remembering back to when Barry killed the, what was it? The Flash and the it was not anti-Flash, but how
the
Flash
Crisis
killed.
on Infinite Earths, the Anti-Monitor? Is that who you're thinking of?
Because
doesn't the original Flash run
Reverse
so...
Flash.
Oh, I see. The yellow Flash. That's
Yes,
the evil one.
yes. So he has to go back to that
What
cavern.
a lame... no wonder he hates the Flash so much. His name is his name, but with the word reverse. Like, he doesn't even get his own name.
Oh, so he's
his own
reverse
identity.
Barry?
Yeah, he's like, well, no, I just mean the Flash versus Reverse Flash. It's not very original. No wonder he has a chip on his shoulder.
Instead of being Barry, he's backwards Barry?
It's you Rob and Barry backwards. Or if you think if he was the Reverse Flash, he'd be super slow.
Right.
He's the world's slowest man and the most dangerous.
So he goes to the caverns and he's thinking about the Flash and how the Flash murdered someone, and he voted to exile or to get rid of him, you know, because he's like, there's always a different way or a different method, but then he reverted to murder.
I think I remember that. Is he didn't
And Barry
want
disappeared.
to have to, but the Reverse Flash kept coming after like the people in his family and stuff, so he
Right.
had to kill him.
So now he's there, and
sure.
but he's like, not here though. That's creepy. That's intense. And so he goes further into the cavern, and goes into his meditative state, and he starts having these fellow Targaryens.
Ooh, I like these rocky hands.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
creepy. That's cool.
And you have the story telling you what's going on, and then you have this other little pink box. It's like, I have him now. And you're thinking, well, what? Is that the gentleman ghost? But, then you have these people who he killed coming. His hair is very nice and curled.
He had to get a perm before he could do this adventure.
And then it says, it begins with the breaking of rocky soil that has not known growth since the time of the glaciers.
Uh-oh.
So, one by one, they approach him. And this woman was an actress before the illness that hit their planet. And even though there was a cure, not really a cure, she wasn't able to fulfill her roles. And so here you have her, my death at your hands.
They all
Very
go to
dramatic.
The Puppet Master's eyebrow guy.
Yes. And so she's been acting very dramatic and everything, and then she turns, thank you, Qatar, for helping me to play my final scene. So he gave her that. She was an actress,
okay.
and she gave.
So
and
now she can, her spirit can rest or something.
Yeah, yeah. And he was like, what's that all about? And you will not understand all of what transpires in this place. And then out there you have, and though we cannot yet know from what unnatural seed comes this monstrous issue. So look what this is happening outside. And then one by one they come to him. Some just need a hug. Some need to, talk it out. Some need to just one last touch. But slowly everybody passes on and goes their own way.
Okay.
And fittingly, this will not even occur to him. Okay, so let me see. He ministers to each of them according to the needs they reveal. His concern is solely for them. And it is in that simple, I can't read that.
That's single-mindedness.
Yeah, single-mindedness that he will
gain redemption for his own sins.
Yes, yes. And then, fittingly, this will not even occur to him until several days later, or hence. And then, let me see, we lost one of the pink panels. But then over here it goes, their purpose in these dark recesses. And they fully form now and have legs, fists, big mouths, and they're coming for him. And then he's talking, and you have done well, Qatar Hall. The spirits are now free to leave this place of waiting. Not so monumental a feat, really. And so they talk, and then what does he say?
Those are some pretty ominous looking.
Yes, and soon becomes okay. And then they talk about back on the planet, and there was the plague cure. This guy here, the plague hit, and he got he was given the cure, but it sterilized him, not his wife. So because he couldn't produce a son, he himself was constricted and had to join, and that's why he was there to be killed by Hawkman.
Okay.
And like that of Fel Andar, their commander, and he was very fanatical. I think you could see that in the pose in The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and he was fanatical in his desire to capture, even kill Hawkman. And he said, we followed his every command without question. And he apologizes. And he goes, Sirrah, Jack, Sirrah, you stayed behind to lighten the way for your fellow Thingarians. And then right here it goes, soon becomes deadly certain. So it builds up.
He's going to have to fight those rock guys.
So they have a nice tender moment and he gets to walk off. And then he's being pulled
He's
back
just about
into
to
the
punch
world.
him.
Yes, he's being pulled back into
That
the
was
world,
close.
back to the living world, and then kill him now. And smash! Another smash Rocky guy.
Yeah.
But a hot girl comes in.
It's like if the thing had a 5 head.
Yes. And so she pulls him up, and he's like, "What? What's going on? What's going on?" And then the gentleman ghost shows up too, and they talk, and they have to fight these guys. And the gentleman ghost hands over 2 weapons that he got from a display from the museum before they left. And,
wow.
Yeah,
I
and
like that axe.
he goes, an Italian, what does it say? Morning Star mace and a rather delightful Indo-Persian fighting axe. At least that's what I think they are. I didn't have time to read the display cards when I stole them from the London Museum just now. Of course, knowing you two, you'll probably want to return them once you're through using them.
Yeah, I think doesn't he pretty typically he uses that
Yes.
mace thing.
And
Right?
he uses antique weapons or weapons from antiquity.
Why?
Is one of the things. Because
Because he works at a museum.
he
likes
was
to steal.
he was a reincarnated Egyptian,
Oh, right.
not paleontologist, but archaeologist. He was an archaeologist
Oh, okay.
that's one of the stories for him. But then you have this guy.
I know, I like that character. That's a weird character.
Amazing
design.
man. I have no clue about him.
That's the most original hero in decades.
I don't think we have any of his
I
comics.
don't think so.
I wonder if they have them. So anyway, you have them both fighting, and they just...
I like the central hat here.
Yes. Yes. It's almost like, they're fighting and talking, and he's answering. And in light of your own smashing work, and... But there are dozens of these things, and more appearing every minute. Yes, they can outlast us. Yes, that is a possibility. It's like, just shut up, ghost. So they keep fighting, and they eventually beat them back, and my feathered foe is getting deduced perceptive.
Weird.
Yeah, and he says that a couple times. It's like,
I
what
think
does
it's
that
like
mean?
damned. Like he's
Deuced.
deuced. He's very deceptive. He's damned deceptive.
Yeah, it's... And, that was very odd. Then, get back, Shira. These things are getting ready to explode. I don't think so, Qatar. Look at them. And
They turned to
yeah,
sand.
it's almost like an earthquake happened to themselves, and they started shaking so much they just turned to sand. And
It annoys him.
yeah, he goes, I've got this unpleasant feeling we won't really know what happened here today. That annoys me. There's a plus
Well,
side,
he's a
though.
scientist.
I think the Vol accomplished all it was supposed to, and then some. And so she's like, then it's over? Only for a few. For us, it's just beginning. So they go home. And then you see what's actually going
He's trapped in
on.
stone, but it looks like skin. It's like a wall of skin. It's gross.
Uh-huh. And he tells him, "Cussedness strike me, Felendar. If you're not an example of that, your loathing of Qatar Hall was too great for you to just let go of it and die." So he was the one who created those rock monsters.
Oh, the gentleman ghost did?
No.
Or the rock guy.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
that makes more sense, huh?
He's still there. He's not letting go and going into wherever it is that they were going to be reincarnated. And it was your passion that betrayed you again, Felindar. Had you but waited until your uncanny control of these caverns was complete, not even I could have stopped you. Oh yes, I sense your bewilderment. Why would one such as myself, who has matched wits with both Qatar Hall and his other Earth counterpart, deny your vengeance? A fair enough question, sir, and one I'm most eager to answer. As I see it, what with that diabolical absorbiscon, which is the piece of equipment that they used, and all, you Thangarians are already the new owners of this planet, for all practical purposes, that is. I, on the other hand, am Earth's greatest thief. After all, I did steal my own life back from the clutches of death itself. So I propose to use the larcenous skills honed over centuries of honest banditry, looked like a W, to steal this world back from him. So he wasn't really he was helping
kind of plot that
he's in it for the long game. He was kind of hampering, kind of helping Hawkman and Hawkgirl, but
he has his own agenda, though.
He knows what's going on more so than they do.
Okay.
And so
it's kind of
that's it.
An ominous way to end it.
Right.
I like that last panel.
Yeah, he's laughing all the way. So, ta-ta, oh boy, I'm off to war. So that's the first Hawkman I've read in years.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I've ever really been a huge Hawkman fan, but I enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
I think the Gentleman Ghost kind of steals the show. But...
yeah, he does. And that would be cool as heck in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
That would, if they could nail that, that would be amazing.
Robert De Niro could play him.
Hey, I'm ghosting over here. But I don't know. I'm more familiar with Hawkman in groups.
Definitely. Super Friends,
yes.
Justice League. Yes.
So seeing him on his own with that, it actually didn't even bring back memories. It was all new and interesting. And it's funny that, no matter how you try to work out your character's backstory, that sometimes you create something way more complicated, but it's still interesting to read.
Yeah, I liked learning about his mythology and his weird backstory. Definitely.
So it was good. So that was my comic for this week.
Cool.